In this episode, we share with you the hormones you perhaps don't know about at midlife that are crucial to your overall health and happiness.
An understanding of these creates awareness and empowers you to take small, easy to implement strategies in a holistic way. In this episode, we dive into each important hormone and give you a takeaway tip. Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. How are you all? Well, we are good. We are all packed up and coming home to London.
We are.
Today, in fact.
Our Ibiza adventure is over for the time being.
Yes, it's been 2 months of loveliness. And
it's been awesome, actually. I've loved being here.
It has been really, really amazing. But we have lots of opportunities, corporate stuff going on in the UK that we need to get back for, that we need to be in person at. So, yes, our time here has come to an end. But I have to say, I love London. We are London people, aren't we? So I have missed the buzz.
I know. Very sad. And we've got an epic journey home as well, haven't we? We've got flights. Slightly alarming that our airline messaged us last night saying we're getting an unknown charter airline to fly us. But
what's it called again?
Air Europe or something.
No, it's not. It's I'm a little bit terrified. I mean, I wasn't always the best flyer. I actually had hypnotherapy for my flying fear, which did work. So I'm all right now, but not when they changed the airline that's taking us to Amsterdam.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Notice. They say we still get drinks and Dutch cookies.
Yeah, it's a Dutch cookie. I feel like they've softened the blow with a Dutch cookie.
So we fly to Amsterdam and we get a taxi to the Hook of Holland, which is by Rotterdam, and we get our ferry across the North Sea home.
Overnight. Let's hope it's not too rough. I don't mind the boat, actually.
It's quite an adventure. It's nice. It's good.
We like adventures.
So we've got a big day ahead of us, but we got up early to knock out this podcast.
It's a day late. Normally try and send it out on a Saturday, but it's always at the weekend. So if it's not on a Saturday, keep your ears and eyes peeled on a Sunday, because it will be with you all the time. We're just kind of navigating crazy lives. But we've also had, let's just tell you, we've had the most amazing January so far.
Oh, yes, of course.
I had the most amazing January. We've been in so much press. Off the top of my head, we've been in The Guardian, we've been in The Times, we've been in Women and Home, we've been in The Daily Mirror. I don't know why I laughed when I said that. The Daily Mirror. What else have we been? The Eye.
Business Talk magazine.
James was on the front cover of Business Talk.
And then, speaking of corporate wellness, this is a biggie. The Inside Out Awards, which is awards around mental health and corporate well-being. We've been shortlisted. We're in the finals for the best men's health initiative for all the work that we're doing around andropause with organisations. So that is so exciting.
I'm so proud of James. I am so proud of James doing all this. You know, he's been delivering the most incredible workshops for, you know, banks, and it's just, I'm very proud of you because it needs to be talked about, and James is kind of championing that, and it's being recognised.
And there's a big event in March, so fingers crossed.
Yes, and then finally we had lots and lots of clients start with us on the Midlife Method. And that's the cohort for January. There is a cohort coming up in February. If you don't know what the Midlife Method is, do drop us an email at team@themidlifementors.com, because we help midlifers. If you are a midlifer, I'm sure you are because you're listening to this, we help midlifers reclaim their health and happiness in the no-nonsense way. So, you know, you get your control back over your body, your mind and your life. So if you want more information about that, just pop us an email. We'll always ping back some information.
And that leads us nicely into today's topic, which is hormones you don't know about that are crucial at midlife.
Yes.
Because, of course, everyone's pretty much aware, we should be these days, around the hormones around peri-menopause and menopause. For females, the change in estrogen and progesterone, and to some extent testosterone as well. And for men, the andropause, the drop in testosterone. But, you know, although these primary sex hormones, their decline does have a massive effect on us, both physically and psychologically, there's a number of other hormones and neurotransmitters that are in a state of flux as well. So it would be useful to talk about those, because it's just to highlight, it's not just as simple as like, oh, it's low estrogen, or oh, it's low testosterone. There are other things going on as well.
Well, we call it the portfolio effect, basically, a portfolio of other hormones. And understanding those is what gives you power. That knowledge gives you power and awareness. But then obviously having the strategies and the tools, which is what we take people through in the Midlife Method, having those strategies and tools to work in harmony with all of these different hormones is really, really really powerful. And that's how the results happen. It's how we start feeling better mentally. It's how we start losing those stubborn midlife pounds. It's how we get more energy and feel more vital and excited about life. Because once we work in line with those hormones, we feel more balanced.
Exactly. And listen, right, the first one we're going to talk about, so why it's not just as simple as your primary sex hormones, is there's something we have in our bodies called a sex hormone binding globulin. It's a protein we produce in the liver. Globulin. And it basically binds to our sex hormones, such as testosterone and estrogen, and regulates how much is available for use by the body. So, it could be the situation that you're producing loads of testosterone, but your SHBG means it's not actually available for use in the body. So when you are going to get tested for your estrogen levels or your testosterone levels, you should also look out for these tests on the SHBG as well. Basically, if you have low levels, it means that there's not enough there really to regulate effectively. You could end up with high testosterone levels in the blood. If you had high levels, it might actually be impacting how much testosterone is available for you to use. So that's the first one, sex hormone binding globulin. Important to know because it works so closely in tandem with your estrogen and your testosterone.
And it's a bit of a mouthful.
It is.
And the next one is human growth hormone. So
Biggie, this one.
Yeah, this is massive. So this is in decline as we're aging as well. And human growth hormone is super, super important as we're aging. So it's in decline. But what we can do and how we teach our clients is to actually train in a certain way to temporarily boost those levels of human growth hormone. So we can't change the base levels, right? But we can temporarily boost those levels so that you feel more energized, you feel stronger.
It plays a interactive role with insulin as well, which you can come to in a minute. But basically, it's a really important hormone. It peaks basically in our adolescence and late 20s, so it gives us that growth spurt. And responsible for all kind of new tissue generation, but then it declines with age. As Claire said there, yes, if you train at intensity and or you do resistance training, again, like putting your body under a certain amount of stress, we're going to talk about stress as well, then you'll get a temporary spike in both human growth hormone and testosterone. This is why working out regularly is such a game changer, right? Not only does it keep us fit, keep us energized, but it's helping just keep those hormone levels ticking up.
Absolutely. And the next one is we increase the production of cortisol, which is a stress hormone in our body. So a lot of people completely ignore this as we're aging, right? We are becoming more and more stressed as we age. We've got insane levels of pressure on us, and to ignore the levels of cortisol in our body is actually a huge mistake, because it can have such a negative impact on our health.
Yeah, absolutely. So cortisol is naturally designed to spike in the morning. It's a get up and go hormone and then decline through the day. But sadly, what happens in today's high stress environment, when we're stressed by things like the news, road rage, whatever, it peaks in the morning and then continues to rise through the day. Now, when cortisol stays elevated, it has a number of negative effects. It's linked with anxiety and depression. It makes us hold onto fat around our belly and our hips and thighs for females. It's basically bad news. Think of it as a multiplier effect for all the negative hormonal effects that we're going through anyway at this stage in life that we don't want.
And this is something that we create a lot of awareness around with our clients, again, is the levels of stress they're experiencing. So it's not actually just doing the mindset stuff, so the stress management techniques. It's actually understanding how they're training so that they're not putting too much stress on their central nervous system and raising cortisol. So again, we see this as a big mistake. Clients come to us, they're overtraining, so they're increasing the already raised cortisol in their body. But also certain foods that they're eating. If we're drinking lots of alcohol, if we're eating lots and lots of, if we've got a diet in high in sugar, that's also increasing cortisol. So it's not just the mindset element, it's tapping into this holistic approach to make sure that we are managing that cortisol so that we don't have the negative implications of it, like James just mentioned.
Yeah, again, you'll see how many of these are interlinked, right? So we have what we call the endocrine system, which is all of our hormones, and there's an interplay between them all. So if we change one, it'll actually affect others. We want to make sure we're dialing in those changes across all of them. So stress, obviously, practice good stress management. Again, like working out regularly will help you lower your stress levels, your cortisol levels.
In the right way.
As long as you're getting adequate recovery.
Yes, absolutely. The next one is a decrease. We're having a decrease in leptin. Now, what is leptin? Leptin is the hormone that signals to our body that we are full. So again, when we have decreasing levels of leptin, we are going to be feeling hungrier, right? And this kind of links to ghrelin, which we're going to talk about as well. But if we've got a decrease in leptin,
we don't feel satiated.
No, well done. You actually said it properly.
I can say it properly. I've been practicing it.
Neither of us can say it after.
Oh, I'm feeling satiated today.
Yeah, I know, it's hilarious. How many times have we talked about leptin and we still can't both say that? I'm very impressed.
Wow,
that's
thank you.
amazing, James. I'm giving you a pat on the back, by the way. So yeah, we have a decrease in leptin. And obviously that means that we're going to be feeling more hungry, we're not going to feel as full. So what we can do here, and we bang on about this a lot, is make sure that we are eating enough protein. So actually, what is enough protein? It's 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So that's about how much protein that you want to be having in your day. So a lot of people say, oh, I don't know. So try and work it out in that way. So it's 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. But make sure that you are having enough protein, because protein triggers leptin. So it triggers the hormone leptin, making you feel fuller for longer, less likely to snack, less likely to reach for that sugar high. Again, it makes you feel stable throughout the day. So having like protein for breakfast, lunch and dinner, good quality protein, is a game changer for our clients. And it's in a lot of the time we have people say, oh, you know, what's got protein in? We haven't got time to go into that right now, but it's in a lot more things than you could realise. And there are easy ways that you can trigger that leptin.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about ghrelin as well, because it's the flip side of the coin. So ghrelin is your hunger hormone, and ghrelin levels increase as we age as well, right?
So you've got decreasing.
Double whammy. We feel more hungry, and then we feel less satiated when we eat.
You said it again.
I know. And I'm just going to show you an example here. If you throw stress into the mix, when we have a stress response, then we crave high energy food, right? Because this is part of the evolutionary survival mechanism. Stress situation means we need to fight or flight, so we need energy. So that's why often when we're stressed, we'll reach for the high sugar, high starch foods, the biscuits, the chocolate. Now, if you imagine that your leptin's low, so you're going to eat more of them, your ghrelin's high, so you're going to eat more of them. You can see how these interplay and start to actually have an effect on each other. So for ghrelin, the advice is the same as for leptin. We want to load up on that protein, because it's going to push that ghrelin level down, raise that leptin level, and make you feel fuller and less hungry. The other thing, of course, make sure you're properly hydrated. A lot of us go through our days mildly dehydrated. A good glass of water can sometimes sort out those hunger feelings and feelings of fatigue as well.
Yeah, and I would also say on this, with all of this comes, especially around the leptin and the ghrelin, because we're talking about food here. We also teach people how to understand and recognise their triggers, when it comes to food. So are they really feeling hungry, or are they bored, or are they lonely, or are they sad?
A lot of snacking is habitual.
Yeah, absolutely. So emotional eating and the relationship with our food is really, really important to heal that and to become aware. I mean, we can't change what we're not aware of. So again, it's not just about the practical side of, eat more protein, blah, blah, blah. It's actually about making sure people understand, start connecting with their body. Because a lot of the time we've just kind of gone through life, not really, especially when we get to this age, not really connecting with our body, not really understanding it, not really working in harmony with it and feeling into whether we're feeling a certain emotion, feeling actually hungry, or, whether we can recognise a trigger that's going to create a different response. So I just wanted to say that there. Again, this is where this holistic approach to the midlife method always comes in, because we're looking at the mind, the body and the soul.
And being aware of these hormones and how they interact with each other.
Exactly.
Insulin. So insulin is a hormone we secrete when we eat food, which helps us process that food effectively for energy. As we age, we naturally become more insulin resistant. Now, again, this can be multiplied. If your diet isn't good anyway and poor lifestyle choices, chances are you are going to be heading even more towards that insulin resistance. Now, when you're insulin resistant, it just means you're basically less able to convert the food to energy for your body to use, which means it's more likely to be stored as body fat. So we want to work to becoming more insulin sensitive.
Yeah. And
again, we do that by eating in the correct way. But the big thing we can do is avoid insulin spikes by avoiding high sugar foods. So we want to start, we bang on about this on so many podcasts, like start looking at the labels of food, start seeing what has got sugar in, because it's in everything and there's more than you think. But just, start to move towards a lower sugar diet, get that under control.
And do be very aware that alcohol is full of sugars. And I'm not being a Debbie Downer here. Sorry if anyone's called Debbie. But I'm not being a Debbie Downer here. But just, if you're like, oh yeah, my diet, how many times do we see this? Oh, my diet is like really, really good. I'm low in sugar. And then actually you're smashing half a bottle of wine to a bottle of wine a night. And obviously that is going to create, that's a whole different podcast.
Also stimulates your ghrelin, so that makes you hungry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to have this insulin spike. You're not going to be able to sleep properly. You're going to wake up in the morning. Your cortisol is going to be high. See how this has an impact. Then you're going to reach for the high sugar food again, and then you're on this constant roller coaster, and your hormones are just all over the place.
I want to say this, it's actually quite a big health risk, particularly for middle-aged men. Like a lot of middle-aged men are heading towards pre-diabetic, or even have tipped over into type 2 diabetes. They're so insulin resistant, but are unaware at the moment. So it is something to be aware of.
Absolutely. So now we're going to talk about neurotransmitters.
Yeah, so neurotransmitters are like the companions to hormones. We're not going to touch on, we're just going to touch on 3 today because they're biggies.
The first one is dopamine. Now, we've all talked about dopamine before.
I like a bit of dopamine.
Oh, James does, don't you? Your little ADHD. So dopamine decreases in levels as we age as well. And this can lead to symptoms such as fatigue, low motivation, and a decreased ability to experience pleasurable situations, which sounds a bit sad, really. So the things that we can do here are, like regular exercise. So we know from science that regular exercise can boost those levels of dopamine within the body.
Yeah, to such an extent, it's actually, they've done studies where they've used regular exercise to successfully treat things like low-level anxiety and low-level depression.
Absolutely.
So exercise is called nature's antidepressant. But yeah, the great thing is, if we exercise regularly, when we exercise, our body will produce these feel-good endorphins, which dopamine is one. But even on the days we don't exercise, when we're doing it regularly, we still produce those because the body's expecting it. So it leads to like an overall mood elevation, which is fantastic.
We love a little dopamine kick, don't we?
We do. Now, the next neurotransmitter is norepinephrine, which basically is to do with helping you with your attention, alertness, and helping you sleep. And again, this decreases, so we get that
brain fog,
not so kind of aware what's going on around us, have difficulty sleeping. So
clumsy
even.
might say.
So that's something that goes on. And then finally, serotonin.
Yes.
Now, this one's really interesting. So that drops naturally as we age, but it also has a symbiotic relationship with estrogen. It
does. So basically, 90%, well, there's variations, but about 90% of our serotonin is actually created in our gut. And estrogen actually helps with the production and the transportation of serotonin. So it stands to reason that as our estrogen is dropping, well, fluctuating, but eventually kind of dropping off, therefore so is our serotonin, because it's like not creating the production of it and the transportation of it. So that's a real biggie, especially for a lot of women. They'll feel low, especially around peri-menopause and menopause, and this is something I experienced a year and a half ago. I talk about this quite openly. I was put on antidepressants 10 years ago or so, and I was fortunate enough to be able to come off them. And I'm not saying that antidepressants aren't right, they save lives, but a lot of the women I speak to, and this happened to me a year and a half ago, I had tests done on my hormones, they were okay, of course they were, because they fluctuate day by day, and the doctor was just like, have some antidepressants. So actually, obviously I said no, but I know a lot of women that come to us and that I speak to have gone on antidepressants, and I'm not saying that's not the right thing, but what I'm saying is actually having that understanding of what's going in. No one really explains that to us. With a drop of estrogen, there's a drop of serotonin, and therefore there are ways that we can boost that serotonin in a natural way. And I think that's really, really important. I don't feel like medication should be the first. No one talks about our lifestyle factors. I can guarantee a lot of GPs, because they're so busy, it's not their fault, don't talk to their the people that come into them to talk about lifestyle factors. You know, like, what are you doing? How's your diet? Because all of this affects serotonin, right? How's your diet? Are you moving? Are you doing any stress management techniques? Because also serotonin is negatively impacted by cortisol. So if our cortisol is really high, that's actually negatively impacting our serotonin as well.
Yeah. So for all these neurotransmitters, by the way, as Claire said there, like, it's not just serotonin. Most of our neurotransmitters are produced in the gut. So we want to ensure that we have good gut health and healthy biomes.
Exactly.
And again, stuff that's going to negatively impact that is poor diets, high in processed food, high in sugar. So we want to start making sure we're getting enough natural fibres in. That's a prebiotic. The biomes feed off that. And we want to supplement with probiotics. And again, mild anxiety and low-level depression has been successfully treated in trials by just administering probiotics to clients, because it's helped those gut biomes then produce more of these feel-good neurotransmitters.
And even protein has been linked to higher levels of serotonin as well. So again, you can see how all of these things that we talk about, gut health and food and your diet, is so, so important. But so is movement. So serotonin is going to be positively impacted by moving our bodies, obviously having good sleep hygiene, all of these sorts of things, all the tools that we can start using that don't necessarily require immediate medication.
So I think with this, we just wanted to illustrate the point that it's not, yes, your sex hormones play a massive role at midlife, of course they do, but it's not as simple as just addressing those.
It's the holistic. It's a holistic approach.
You need to have an eye on everything that's going on and the interplay between them.
Absolutely,
which is what we do in our midlife method approach. So
it's not just about taking a supplement. I think, you know, for me, I'm getting pretty sick. I did a post on this. I'm getting pretty sick of how commercialised the menopause has become.
Oh my goodness!
Literally every single man and his dog, woman and her dog, is jumping on the menopause bandwagon. And just because we might have been through it, it doesn't mean to say we're experts in it. And I'm not saying that we are. We've got a lot to learn. We're always learning. We're always becoming. We geek out about stuff, so we're always learning. But I'm just saying, you know, there are lots of people out there that are recommending things that aren't qualified. They are not qualified. They haven't been in the field long enough. They haven't worked with real people, getting real results for long enough.
I'm seeing crazy stuff. I'm seeing people who are like beauty therapists and have a blog on beauty therapists, and they're going, "Oh, I'm menopause. Yeah. I'm going through menopause. So I'm a menopause expert now," and they've got zero qualifications or training apart from the fact they're going through menopause. Yeah. And they're not even scratching the surface of what's going on there.
I mean, I would very, very much recommend that you do your research, make sure people are fully qualified, but not just that, which we are, like highly qualified in hormones, menopause, but, you know, we've actually had 10 years of working with real people around this. And you know, I think where I was going with that is it's not just as easy as a supplement. You know, there'll be people out there going, "Oh, take this or do this." It is not that simple. It is an approach that needs to be looked at every angle. You need to be aware of what's going on so that you feel invested in these changes and these strategies that we teach people. But it's really, really important. I know some people are very, very desperate around the perimenopause and menopause because it is absolutely horrendous for lots of people. But do your research is what I would say.
Yeah, I'd echo that, especially even if we're looking at things like HRT and TRT. You know, we have to be aware that these are not a magic pill per se. Yes, you know, if you are suffering, I think something like, you know, HRT will more massively help alleviate your symptoms. But if you are still just sitting around on the sofa eating fast food, it's not going to be the magic pill that you think it is, because you haven't got everything else balanced out.
Well, this again is a real bugbear of mine.
So we want to make sure we're dialing in all these lifestyle factors first.
Because if you want to help yourself, you can be doing that and all of these other things for all of the reasons that we've gone into here. And it's really, really important. It's our responsibility to take these changes. We're here to support everyone that comes to us and show them the way, show them how to get results, show them how to, drop some stubborn pounds, feel more energised, feel more connected to themselves, live a happier, healthier life. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to take that first step and reach out.
Exactly.
So if you do want to, team@themidlifementors.com, because we have a new cohort coming at the beginning of February.
We do. I hope to get some of you on there. It is an amazing program. It does transform lives. Check out our happy clients section on our website. We will say farewell to you until next week.
We've got the
as
epic
we
journey now.
off to catch our plane, taxi and boat. It's almost a title for a movie, Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
So we'll be doing the next one
from somewhere else.
No, from London, I imagine. Who knows? No one can keep up with us. Anyway, we're sending you so much love, and you take care. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.